Local governance in Nigeria faces challenges such as poor service delivery, limited citizen engagement, leading to a disconnect between communities and their local communities. This disconnect is often worsened by a lack of awareness about the crucial role local governments play in community development. Many citizens tend to blame the president or the federal government for issues that could have been addressed at the local level. And that's why the hashtag #MyLocalGovernmentArea, that's the hashtag #MyLGA project, an initiative of EiE Nigeria, aims to bridge the gap by fostering closer connections between citizens and local authorities. Through this initiative, EiE seeks to empower citizens, promote accountability, and of course, enhance service delivery at the grassroots level. Now, Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke and the All Progressive Congress are at loggerheads over allegations of a plot to destabilize the state following a court ruling on the local government crisis rocking the state. At a press conference on Monday, Adeleke accused the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Boyega Oyetola, of colluding with security agencies to enforce a court order restraining local government chairmen and councillors elected under the APC. He also described the move as an attempt to create unrest in the state, alleging leveraging Oyetola's familiar ties to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He argued that the ruling lacked a consequential directive and could not override a previous judgment that led to the official's removal before he assumed office. Now, the local government remains the most critical component, and if we must see any semblance of good governance, we must be intentional about the local government. And that's why for the EiE, the MyLGA project, which stands for My Local Government Area, is an initiative that is dedicated to transforming local governance in Nigeria. And of course, this is done by fostering collaborations between communities, their local governments, the projects to encourage citizens to actively participate in governance and hold their leaders accountable. Now, the initiative also aims to create a responsive, transparent, and citizen-focused local governance system across all local government areas in Nigeria. And I believe you are the Seniors Programs Associate at EiE, Ufoma. She has joined me live in studio. You know, these days when we see people live in studio, we're excited because we are not always, having live people. But hey, here you are. Ufoma.
Hello.
You know, we've been talking, thank you for joining me this evening. You know, we've always been talking about local government, Office of the Citizens, that consciousness and literacy, political literacy and all of that around the importance of why local government is very strong, and we should be intentional about it.
Yeah.
But tell me, what is happening right now with Osun State? Because I think it's just a perfect foundation for us to now keep emphasizing why we need to keep pushing for better governance at that local level. Tell us what is going on.
Honestly, what's happening in Osun State is a developing story. Over the weekend, Governor Adeleke had put up tweets.
A press conference as well.
A press conference, just to let people know what was happening, to kind of give soft landing that if anything goes on in Osun State now, this is what the situation is. So basically, I think it's power tussle between the APC and PDP. In a case whereby the APC people want to in their interpretation of what the appeal court has said, they believe that they should take over power at the local level. And PDP has a different interpretation to that. And at the end of the day, when we are interpreting the law, the judiciary is responsible for interpretation. So if anybody is in doubt, go back to the courts. It makes no sense to then go to the local government and try to usurp power at that level, and to the extent that it leads to the loss of lives. So now the council chairman, I believe, that was supposed to now be reinstated is killed. Who loses?
Wow.
You see, and that's the challenge when we over-politicize governance. especially at the local level, like when we, because at the end of the day, if things work well at that level, citizens benefit the most. And so what's even the, we're talking just before we got on air to say, what's the catch? That kind of thing where it's like, people are, maybe there's something under this board that nobody knows. Like, what's the catch? At the end of the day, is it not for good governance to ensure that people actually do the work?
No. It's not for good governance. So I'll tell you the catch. So you see, it's actually a blessing in disguise. You know why I say so? Because we were just celebrating local government autonomy, financial autonomy.
Financial autonomy.
Do you understand? We were celebrating and we're saying, okay, it's a good thing. So now that you see that this fight is really heated, it tells you that there's something that we need to pay attention to as Nigerians.
Definitely.
It means that whatever it is that we've been shouting that is our problem has always been at that local level, but that we were not paying attention to.
Yeah.
Because if not, why would they go through all that stress to want to, because there's something there.
Yeah.
So there's something there. So now tell me, right, because in all of these things, right, I'm seeing a lot of power play. Davido, the cousin, we have to bring out all the, because he is the cousin of the nephew rather, the nephew of the governor, has come out. He did a video. He also posted it on X, warning the commissioner of police in Osun State and telling him that if he thinks that he's mad, that they are madder, right? Yeah, because it's almost like now the people have seen that it seems like it is only the person that does the gra-gra that eventually gets the victory, because it doesn't seem like rule of law applies to anything in the country. So what's your take on the involvement of the police, right, trying to then kind of suppress one party over another party?
At the end of the day, it's what we say about the independence of institutions in Nigeria. Like the police, DSS, security agents, they are enforcers of law. And so when you come and then you begin to take sides in situations like this, you don't help anybody at the end of the day. You escalate the issues. And so I think that, number one, I think that everybody should try to be calm, right? No, it's the truth, because who bears the losses at the end of the day? The citizens. When you destroy public infrastructure, maybe the secretariat gets burned down. At the end of the day, we bear the brunt of these things because it's our money that would be used to rebuild and refurnish and refurbish, right? I just think that it's simple. The same way that people shout, let's go to court, all of a sudden, are we saying that the courts is no longer strong enough? What is exactly? So why do we argue and say that people should go to court when there are disparities in elections? If the court is going to give a judgment and political parties are going to take power into their own hands, to me, I believe that law enforcement agencies should stay neutral and enforce the law. Who broke the law? Like, it should be clear who broke the law. What is the consequence for that? And this is what happens when there is no rule of law in a country. Anybody can do whatever it is that they want to do. At this point, like, citizens need to not take the sidelines. It's not a joke. It's a serious issue at the end of the day, because when we have government officials and we have law enforcement agencies that don't uphold the rule of law, and we take it as, at the end of the day, Nigeria is like our bread and butter. Yeah. You see, but we should not be okay with it.
We have normalized the abnormal in this country. So it seems like it is, that's why I said it seems like it is only the person that has the energy that can then get their way around things. Because as it stands now, there was a court ruling, right? At least stay with the court ruling. If you had any issue, go back to the court and say, this is not working for us. You understand? But it just seemed like, I can do whatever it is that I like. And that's why Davido has the boldness to also come out to be threatening the commissioner of police to say, if you do anyhow, you say if you see anyhow, because as it is now, they've seen how it seems like the people in the ruling party are upturning different kinds of cases out in other states. So don't bring, if you think you can get away with it in this state or in that state, don't bring it to our doorstep, because we'll give it to you, back to back.
And it just reminds me of a research that we worked on last year, where we talked about how democratic are local government elections. because we see how that when it comes to local government elections, I mean, the states governments, excuse me, are responsible for conducting these elections. And for example, Kwara State just had their local government election, and the ruling incumbent party, I think it's APC, won all the local government areas and won all the councilorships. And so when you just look at that, just from a data perspective, it tells you, so where's the place of competition? Because competition also aids good governance.
But we are not there.
Where's the place? And it also falls on us as citizens. Because when you check it, how many people actually go out to vote on those on election days? I
was coming there.
Because we think that there's such a, and which is why this my LJ project is very important for us. Anybody that watches us on Waves TV will be like, is the only local government that these people do?
No, let us stay there. Because no, you see, that's the problem. People are not consistent because you have to stay where the problem is. If you were not thinking about local government, you better start to think about it now.
Also, because it's on the president's agenda for the year. It's a priority for the president. And so if it's a priority for the president, it should be a priority for us as well.
What is worse now, because there's a honeypot coming to local government. It's even more important now for us to focus, because now that there is financial autonomy that has been granted to the local government, it means that we need to even be extra sensitive. You just made mention of something now, that Kwara State did elections. Who knows? Who was monitoring? Nobody was monitoring. We are very focused on elections that happens at federal and state level, and that's it. We don't even care what is going on at the local level. Even for, I was speaking to one of our breakfast anchor, Okiki. She's a very passionate, she's passionate about politics and all of that. And she was saying it that even at the local level, they will be begging people, come and collect your voters card so that you can vote. You understand? If you go and check the numbers of the people that eventually come out to decide who governs at that level,
it's so sad.
It is appalling.
Yeah.
It is very appalling. Do you understand? So how do we start to turn that? Because now, if we had a very active office of the citizens at that my local government level in Osun State, what would have been the kinds of, dynamics that would have played out in Osun State if we had the office of the citizens?
The help desk.
Yes, really active, that they are working. What would we have seen differently happen in Osun State?
Honestly, when it comes to cases of violence like this, I can't really say. But I would say that one of the things that the help desk helps to do is to sensitize people. So, for example, elections are coming. It's also part of like the unofficial responsibility of the desk officer to inform people about it. Let people know that the desk office is fun. Let people know that elections are coming. Let people know the people that are running for election. Opposition parties also need to come out for election and blow this thing up. Why do we place emphasis, like you said, on state government elections and not on local government elections? The one that actually affects our day-to-day life. Like our road, our streets network, waste management.
Don't worry, they will soon start to place emphasis. As long as money has entered that direction.
But no, it's not just about money entering the direction. Citizens also need to start monitoring it. Because if we do what we have done, honestly, in my personal opinion, I think one of the places that we don't look at in this country when it comes to accountability and demanding transparency is state governments. Yes. There's a lot of focus on federal government, Mr. President, and then there are these unspoken kings that just do what it is that they like. But that's a story for another day. But then if we don't begin to focus there, come out for elections, engage. You don't even need. So if you want to have a desk office set up, at the end of the day, if EiE and our network organizations or other civil society organizations, we're doing our best to ensure that citizens are sensitized. Honestly, we should call out where's the National Orientation Agency and how can we partner with the National Orientation Agency to take this message forward.
I never get me they talk now. What I'm trying to tell you that you will start to see a lot more attention
because there's money there.
Yes, because now you said something very critical. Where are the opposition parties? Why are they not participating at that local government
But
level?
then now they've started.
That's what I'm saying. They will come out now. They will come out now because now there's something at stake.
Yeah.
They'll come out. But you know what? Let's quickly touch on the key challenges, right? When it comes to the local government, governance at that local government level. Because we know that we still have a very poor revenue generation system there. But it's not that poor. Because if you look at Lagos, for instance, I don't know about any other state,
The way, if you have you ever tried to run a business in Lagos?
Lagos doesn't seem like it's in
Hey,
Nigeria.
Like you have multiple taxation. They'll tell you that they're from this local government, they're from this local government. There is, so when it comes, why do we still start to, why is that every time we want to talk about the challenges, we still mention poor revenue? When there's serious revenue happening in that at that level.
So I think Lagos is setting the pace in terms of local governance in Nigeria. And one of the things that I think, which is why we have organizations like Algon, right? There should be that knowledge sharing amongst local government chairmen. So when you have a conversation, it's really like where we travel and have conversations with local government officials across different states, you can clearly see the gap. Right, when you have a conversation with a local government chairman from Lagos State, there's the kind of conversations that you have, and you're like, okay, it makes you understand why governance is working, in a sense, at that level. But then when you start to go inside, you start to see like what is really happening in this place. Why is this place looking like this? And at the end of the day, how can you even ideate in such, And I'm trying to couch a lot of things, like not to give states away and things like that. But then that's why, for us, things like we do a strategy session, which is something that we did at the end of our project last year, and we want to continue. So we brought local government chairmen from Lagos, Nasarawa, desk officers as well from all these other states, CSOs, to kind of discuss how can we move this thing forward. Do you know why? Because it's important. Let these people even come and see what is happening in another place. Maybe it would open up their minds to say, okay, maybe I can do this thing. Because it's not like they don't know, right? There's just this lackadaisical laissez-faire attitude.
So that's why when you say you don't want to call them out, you should call them out. Because if you call them, by the time I start to mention states, do you understand what I'm saying? By the time you start to mention states, maybe somebody will sit up.
Yeah.
Because I don't see why, with all the resources that you have at your disposal, you're not able to do anything.
I mean, prior to now, the easy excuse would be state governments are sitting on our money. And so now that state governments will no longer be sitting on your money, let's see what the excuse will be. Why are you not developing?
Okay. All right. On that note, let's take a very short break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with me. All right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, the impact of grassroots governance on community development in Nigeria is our conversation for this evening. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation, send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also call our phone lines. The numbers to call are 07025007749 and 07014242420. How do you think this local government autonomy, all the things that is happening within local government right now can transform governance in Nigeria? I would love to hear your thoughts. Ufoma, before we went on a break, right, we touched on some of the issues, right? We talked about revenue generation. There's also corruption. There's also ineffective service delivery within that local government area, and there's also weak citizens engagement, which is what I was saying.
Capacity deficiency.
I know. So tell me, right, because as it is right now, with what I am seeing with the local government autonomy that is going on, I'm seeing more cerebral people, just like the way you have very learned people and all of those. We're not just having different kinds of people that, they don't have any ambition in life. They just enter local government. So we are going to see a lot more intentionality at that level of, in terms of who to elect, and select at that level. So how do all of those dynamics, how would it play out? You understand? Corruption, mismanagement of funds, weak citizens engagement. Because if we are not engaging them, we'll still have the challenges, even if we have very great people at that level.
At the end of the day, I think that, number one, like as Nigerian youth, we should just know that it's not a day's job, right? The corruption and the inefficiency of the local government did not start in one day. And so we are not going to upturn it in one day. I think that's going to give us a little bit of, it's like drinking water, like, okay, so what's the long road? We need to follow the money. Follow the money in such a way that you understand, number one, what is your local government existing to do for you? What are the channels that are available for you to engage? Local governments have town hall meetings. We're currently in Lagos, right? I know that Lagos is not the end. I mean, there are 774 local governments in Nigeria. But in Lagos State, I know Ibejuleki, the chairman talked about how that they have town hall meetings to deliberate on budget and things like that. You need to be involved in things like this. And if your local government is not doing it, go to your local government secretariat. That's why it's not easy for you to get to Aso Rock, but it's easy for you to get your local government. At the end of the day, we cannot outsource our watchdog role to any other person. Citizens must begin, it's your money. Citizens must begin to stand up to demand for these things. Engage. When on cases of corruption and stuff like that, would we reduce it to zero? Maybe not. But if you're watching, if there are eyes on them, it makes it difficult. It makes it much more difficult. On cases of how democratic are local government elections, when we come out to vote, everybody saw what happened during the 2023 general elections, right? Presidential elections, and how that. Anybody might have their own perspective on what happened during the election, what the real results are, versus what the court said. But because many people were a bit more involved, even though when we look at statistics, we see that we had a lower turnout, voters turnout. It made it a little bit more difficult to say, oh, you want to rig elections and stuff, because people were outside, people were doing their due diligence. I was at my polling unit, I was on Instagram live as per. We are going to get this.
We were there till 5 a.m. the next day, a bit 6 a.m. the next day.
That's what we're talking about. And so we need to be ready.
They bruised me.
We need to be ready to pay the price for the kind of governance that we want to see. Because if it works at the local government level,
it will definitely.
Honestly, it's going to trickle up. Because number one, we have to understand how the governance structure is like in Nigeria, and how that, when somebody was asking me today that what is even state assembly interest in local government, but then when you realize that when people talk about the structure for elections at the presidential level, that's what they're referring to.
Yeah.
And so, at the end of the day, if we want to affect or effect change at that level, we need to be able to start from here. And so people need to know your local government official. Like, when is your local government elections? Many states have conducted theirs between July and up until now. But what we're doing is that we are updating our RSVP election, local government elections calendar, and we're going to put that out before the ending of this week, just so that people can know what's the next state that is doing local government election.
Yes,
and so
we don't even know.
And so we try to amplify that prior to elections to say, if you have your PVC, come out and vote on the day of local government election. It actually affects you. It's not like, and I don't know how else to say this thing.
But you see, it's an intentional thing, Ufoma. It's an intentional thing to keep us very, very uninterested in what's it called, the activities at the local government. But paint me a picture. What does corruption look like at the local government level? Maybe if somebody can see what corruption looks like, then you would understand. Because as it is now, the fact that you're having a big crater at the back of your house, what's it called, a drainage is not being fixed, your roads are not being fixed. It's not the state government that is your problem. It's not the federal government that is your problem. It is your local government chairman.
And when they don't do anything about it, and nobody is asking any question about it, that's how money they misroad. There's no other way, because the allocations are there. If you go on Budget Nigeria website, they track government spending in Nigeria. And you see that your local government has been getting allocations, got allocation in 2024. And so you can start to ask questions. And now, at the end of the day, when you have the criteria for getting this direct funding from federal government was conduct election. So many states have conducted elections. Whether or not we came out to vote during the election, it's not their business. But now they have a democratically elected local government chairman. And because of that, they can receive funds from the federal government. Our own is to monitor it. When is the federal government going to start? When is that process actually going to start? And then, for example, the states where we work and the local governments where we work in Abia, Anambra, Yobe, Nasarawa, Enugu, and then obviously in Lagos State, because we're in Lagos State, it's a bit easier for us to monitor these things. We will be tracking to see, okay, this was where you were. At least we've done engagements with you when you didn't have financial autonomy. Now that you have financial autonomy,
what is the difference?
What is the difference? And we would be able to track, and we would be able to show Nigerians. And one thing we have told our the local government chairman where we work is to tell them that at the end of the day, this also benefits you. Because you know how we see politics.
You will go down in history,
Thank you.
That you were part of the people that affected good
governance.
People.
And it also, and at the end of the day, it was a win for them that they can also maybe climb up in their political ladder. It's fine, but at least if you walk, People can come back to re-elect you to continue the good work that you're doing, and then you can go on to do other things. People would even be calling you to say, "Uwa, please come and run for state assembly."
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, everybody actually benefits from a system that works.
Everybody wins. So talking about system that works, right? So we've painted what it looks like that if we are not engaging, right? So what would an effective discharge of duty look like when the local government is functioning, right? What would it look like? What are the kind of things that we'll start to see? So we'll start from service delivery, then we'll move on to the economic benefits, right?
Yeah.
What are the kinds of things we'll see? And also, how would we see it play out in infrastructure? And how would we also see it play out with civic participation? So just walk me through that.
So in terms of what would it look like in an ideal society when our local government starts to work? Service delivery means that waste management is a huge issue. There are conversations about climate change, the effects of these things, even to our economy as a country. If our local government is working, our waste management system would work. There would be less dependence on states. You think about it, Lagos State waste management is Lagos State. When I was growing up, there were things that we used to do like community development, where they would leverage things like landlord association and stuff like that. Those are the things that build and imbibe civic culture in citizens. Because you know that you ought to keep your locality, you ought to keep it clean.
Decision making.
Thank you. And those are in terms of better service delivery. All those smaller structures like market women association, like our religious institutions, they begin to have a voice in decision making at that level. When we talk about economic growth, local businesses, everybody knows that what drives Nigeria's economy is small SMEs.
MSMEs, in fact.
Thank you. That's what drives our economy. And where are these things located? In the local government. People will say things like, oh, the local government is not responsible for electricity and stuff like that. And that's true. But who is more opportuned to speak or reach out to a commissioner or a minister of electricity? Is it me or my local government chairman who can properly channel my grievances through the ladders of government within the state? I think that those are things that we need to be able to look at. How that our system of government can actually work if our local government if we put pressure on the local government has no choice but to put pressure on the state.
Telling you, let me even add to what you just said, right? If a local government chairman understands that, okay, we have about 5 SMEs here, and those 5 SMEs or MSMEs, they can employ at least maybe 2 people per business, or even 3 people per business. It is more beneficial for him, for those MSMEs to work, because if they are functioning, it means that in terms of, we are talking about high unemployment rates in Nigeria, it means that in terms of that number, we've broken it down, and we are able to at least pull out 15 people from the pool of unemployment pool. So it then works, okay, how do we make sure that that business continues to thrive? We need to make sure that the roads are good. We need to fix the electricity. So if we're saying, okay, electricity belongs to state government, how can we push for the state government to understand that either you make us a priority line or you give us autonomy to be able to create build policies that we're able to generate our own power within our own locality. And literally, there are so many things that can happen at that level, just to make sure that it works.
Do we talk about healthcare? When we talk about infrastructure?
Absolutely.
Do you want to talk about education?
Healthcare centers.
Do you want to talk about basic education? Do you know what it would mean if you have a local government chairman that understands the importance of education? Because at the end of the day, there's no country that is going to move forward if we don't invest in the education of our people. And it's clear. When you look at our budget and you see how much we give to street lights and stuff like that, and how much we give to education, you can see what our priorities are as a nation. But if you have a local government chairman that understands and places priority on education, then it will show in his budget. And it will show in his activities. So education now, I'm not talking about just going to school. There's also vocations, skill acquisitions and stuff like that. Those are ways that you can also build and generate revenue within. That's how we get a functional system. And it builds volunteerism. There's a spirit of community that when you see your government working for you, when we say things like, sometimes we like to compare ourselves with America, right? And we say things like democracy in America and stuff like that. We should also understand that there's intentionality that goes into that. There is intentionality that goes, and we need to begin to envision that for ourselves. Yes, there's the system. It looks like the system is rigged against us. You know, it looks like.
But you know what, Ufoma? As it be like this now, because it be like this community where they talk with, it's not like we don't do it. But Nigerians are actually very communal, because I know that in many communities in Nigeria, many estates, many different local
They are doing the government themselves.
Yes, they have become their own local government office, because they will provide the water themselves, they'll provide the roads themselves, they'll provide security, they provide all of those things themselves, right? So how would you tell those kind of people that, you know what, scratch that, and let us be intentional about engaging when they have tried to engage these people and these people are not listening? So how do we intentionally start to get them to work? Because you see the truth about our leaders, right? They just feel like, Nigerians will always find our way.
We'll move on.
We will move on, because that's what we've been doing. We've been our own, we create our own gutters. I've seen so many communities where they come together, gather money,
Buy transformer.
they do everything themselves. So how do we start to intentionally say, you know what, this thing, we might have done it in the past, but this time around, we have to hold you accountable. How do we hold them accountable? Do we take them to court? What exactly can we do?
My sister, you know, I wish to say my sister, honestly. I think that for me, number one is, that their office, we will go there, we'll be there together. I saw something that happened in Lagos. I think there's a community, Omole, something about their electricity.
Yes.
And they went to sit down in
NEPA office. Yes.
It's simple. They have work, but that's it. I will sit down there. I will keep engaging. What we do is that we start and we stop. And honestly, because life must go on, but we must be able to, if it's that we will rotate it, that, okay, this group will go today, this group will go tomorrow. We must be able to consistently engage. They bank on the fact that we are going to get tired. If you have conversations with these leaders,
politicians,
you will see, they'll be like, after small time, we'll go tired. We should, and then for us, we should devise a system whereby we would sustain our momentum. And so if today is 5 of us that can go, 100 of us that can go, we will go. In the evening, let another set come. That's how we will sustain this momentum. At the end of the day, we have seen it. That when people come out, even though we don't experience land shifts, they shift. And that's how we will continue to gain ground. Small shifts, until we're on the other side of the river.
Yeah, because real change has never been about the big things. It has always been about the little steps that we take.
Let's agree on an issue. In your local government, today now, in your local government, agree on one thing. No, there's a way we do all these 1,000 demands. If we do 1,000 demands, I can't even remember what the demand is.
It's too much.
Let's agree on one thing and push it. The momentum we will get from that one thing would allow us to focus on the next thing. I think that's how we can engage our local government at that level, and even different tiers of government as well. Agree on one thing as a community and begin to push it, and know that you are in it for the long haul.
Absolutely. I love the idea, because in fairness, right, until we are the stakeholders here, until the Office of the Citizen is fully activated, right, most of these things that we're asking for, we might never see it. And the truth is, at that level where the federal government is, they are too far from us.
Yeah.
You know, and if we need to find any solution, it has to be at the local government level. So what's the plan for my LGA for this year? I know you've mentioned a few. What more are we seeing, you know, and how can people participate in it?
One thing for us this year is, like, you know, I said at the beginning of the year, is we're very big on collaboration and consolidating efforts. It's nice to want to expand and be in all the 774 local governments. But for us, it's that where we are, we deepen our impact. People are more sensitized, and they are willing to galvanize whether or not we are there. And we just act as catalysts, where people, once we come there, we catalyze you to do something, and then we move, and then you're able to carry it on from there. And so what we want, another thing we don't want to do, we don't want to duplicate efforts. Many civil society organizations are doing local government projects around the country. And so what we're doing currently is that we're doing a stakeholder mapping to see all the organizations that are working on local governance in Nigeria. How can we come on the table to draw a map that would work, where all organizations can pitch in? And so for Lagos State, we plan to have town hall meetings, you know. So people will say things like, we're in Lagos, why are we going to Oyo? But because, you know, Lagos, but we also want to have town hall meetings in Lagos.
You know what is even painful in this Lagos? You would think that Lagosians are actually, they are learned. They are not, because you see this issue that you're having. In fact, Northerners are more politically
intentional than Lagosians. Because during all those local government elections, they will still come out to vote.
Yeah.
Lagosians and all these people in the West, they don't.
Yeah. So
this is where the sensitization is even needed more.
And then we want to, and so what we would do now, because we are now intentional about collaborating with these CSOs, we don't need to create our own and start something that already exists. So if there's an organization that currently does this, we will partner with you. Where we put our resources together, we can reach more people and we can achieve more things as opposed to working and operating in silos. I think that's it for us with my LGA this year. Once we have that stakeholder mapping, we've been doing it. I mean, since the beginning of the year. So once we have that firmed up, these strategy sessions are things that we are going to continue. We're going to continue doing, bringing people into the room, having these conversations, trying to facilitate this knowledge sharing amongst government officials, local government officials. See what your mate is doing. Okay, won't you sit up? All these types of things and get them.
I don't tell you, just give us their name. More they help you, they call them.
No, that's the thing.
Once see what your mate is doing, the man no one see.
So that's
since he has chosen to be blind, we will help him to see.
So this is how we are. This is how we are going to do it. We are going to organize a strategy session. When we have spoken to you, if you don't know what on your word, then we'll come and put your picture online.
We need to start calling these people out.
Definitely.
If you refuse to do your job, at that local level, then it means that you don't care about good governance for your people.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to start calling these people out because you see, enough is enough, Wabi.
Yeah, enough is enough.
we have to stop that, But hey, thank you so much, Ufoma. For those that are wondering, the My LGA project is committed to bringing good governance, right, closer to the people. Nigerians must recognize that not all issues lie at the feet of the president or the federal government. Local government, so I'm shouting this, I will continue to shout it. Local government has significant responsibilities that, when effectively executed, can improve lives at the grassroots level. So as EiE expands their reach in 2025, as she had mentioned, in collaboration with more organizations that are doing things at that grassroots level, they are also inviting all Nigerians. Right? You have to be part of it in this transformative journey. So whether you are an individual citizen or you're a community leader or you are part of the organization, your involvement can make a significant difference. Please, let's not sleep on this thing. You see, if we get it right at local government level, 2027 election will be a walk in the park. We need to be intentional. Let us shape the future of Nigeria, and it must start at that local government level. Let's stop playing, the same game. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Where the problem is, go to the root cause. The root cause is at the grassroots.
That's the structure.
The grassroots is the local government. I never talk and finish.
Yes, now.
On that note, thank you so much.